Hello students, today I am going to discuss the topic virtual memory, and in this I am going to discuss you what is virtual memory, the concept of demand paging, copy on write, the page displacement technique, and how the frames are being allocated, thrashing, and few of the examples will be discussed in this. Firstly, the objective is that we should know what are the benefits of a virtual memory system and how the demand paging, the pre-paging and page replacement algorithms have been executed and how the page frames are being allocated and what is the concept of a working set model. Firstly, virtual memory. In a memory management scheme, the instructions being executed must be in physical memory, and the first approach to meeting this requirement is to place the entire logical address space in physical memory. And the requirement that instructions must be in physical memory to be executed seems both necessary and reasonable. So the ability to execute a program that is only partially in memory would confer many benefits. That is, a program would no longer be constrained by the amount of physical memory that is available, and user would be able to write programs for an extremely large virtual address space specifying the programming task. So we can see that it is basically a separation of user logical memory from a physical memory, and it can be implemented via demand paging and demand segmentation. In in virtual memory, because each user program could take less physical memory, more programs could be run at the same time with corresponding increase in CPU utilization and throughput, but with no increase in response or turnaround time. Thus, running a program that is not entirely in memory would benefit both the system and the user. Demand paging is basically paging in a paging system. It is similar to the paging system where processes reside in secondary memory, that is usually a disk, and rather than swapping the entire process into a memory, however, we use a lazy swapper. A lazy swapper never swaps a page into memory unless that page will be needed. A swapper manipulates entire processes, whereas a pager is concerned with the individual page of a process. When a process is to be swapped in, the pager guesses which page will be used before the process is swapped out again. Instead of swapping in a whole process, the pager brings only those necessary pages into memory. Thus, it avoids reading into memory pages that will not be used anyway, decreasing the swap time and the amount of physical memory needed. In the extreme cases, we can start executing a process with no pages in memory. And when the operating system sets the instruction pointer to the first instruction of the process, which is on non-memory resident page, the process immediately falls for a page. After this page is brought into memory, the process continues to execute, faulting as necessary until every page that needs is in memory. At that point, it can execute with no more faults. This scheme is pure demand paging. Never bring a page into a memory until it is required. So the hardware to support the demand paging is same as the hardware for paging and swapping, and both the things maintain the page table as well as the secondary memory. In the page table, basically this table basically has the ability to mark an entry invalid through a valid and an invalid bit or a special value of protection bits. And in secondary memory, this memory holds those pages that are not present in secondary memory, and the secondary memory is usually a high speed disk, and it is known as the swap device, and the section of the disk used for this purpose is known as a swap space. So in the demand paging can significantly affect the performance of the computer system. Next is, what is page fault? Page fault is basically the reference to a page. The first reference to that page will trap to operating system. It's a page fault. An operating system looks at another reference place, find the empty frame, swap the page into frame, reset the page table, and set the validation with V. That is, V represents a valid bit, that is the page is being presently available, and restart the instruction that caused the page fault. This diagram basically shows that how the page fault, when the page fault occurs, how the which are what are the steps are being followed. Firstly, in a page replacement, it takes basically a normal approach. If no frame is free, we find that one that is not correctly being used and free it. So by this diagram, by this figure, we can find it out what is the procedure of for handling this page fault. Firstly, we can check an internal page table for the process to determine whether the reference was a valid or an invalid memory access. Step 2 says that if the reference was invalid, we terminate the process, and it was valid. And if it was valid, but we have not yet brought in that range, we now page in it. Firstly, we will find a free frame, and we schedule a disk operation to read the desired page into the newly allocated frame. And when the disk read is complete, we modify the internal page table kept with the process and the page table to indicate that the page is in memory. We restart the instruction that was interrupted by the trap, and the process can now access the page as though it had always been in memory. So it is basically the process to handle the page fault. In a pure demand paging, we start executing a process with no pages in the memory. And when the operating system sets the instruction pointer to the first pointer instruction of the process, which is on non-memory resident page, the process immediately falls for the process. And after this page is brought into the memory, the process continues to execute, faulting as necessary until every page that it needs is in memory. At this point, it can execute with no more faults, and this is pure demand paging. And the hardware support of demand paging is same as the hardware for paging and swapping. As I before also I told you, in the page table we maintain the we mark the page and mark the page entry invalid through a valid invalid bit or a special value of protection bit. And in secondary memory, this memory basically holds those pages that are being not present in the main memory, and with the help of a swap device we swap the page, and the section of this disk used for this purpose is known as swap space. Uh, the main thing is a performance. If the demand paging can significantly affect the performance of a computer system, let the computer ca- let me compute the effective access time for the demand page memory. The memory access time donates demand donates MA, and it ranges from 10 to 100 and nanosecond. And let P be the probability of a page fault. It basically P be the probability of the page fault. It basically ranges from 0 to 1.0. If P is 0, it means there is no page fault, and if P is 1, every reference is a fault. So here the effective access time can be calculated as 1 minus P into a memory access plus P. That P can be of page fault overhead, the swap page out, the swap page in, and the restart overhead. So by this we can calculate an effective access time. By taking example, suppose memory access time is 200 nanosecond and the average failed for service time is 8 milliseconds. So while calculating, we can place a value of these which are being already mentioned into the defined place. So already the formula is being introduced to you: 1 minus P into memory access time plus the average time which is being required in the swapping, in the placing the page into the memory, and by calculating we get this value. So the effective access time is directly proportional to the page fault rate. Next, we should know what happens if there is no free frame. Definitely, we have to adapt the technique page replacement. We have to find some page in memory that are not really in use, and we were going to swap it out by applying an algorithm and maintaining a proper performance so that we have a minimum number of page faults. Same page may be brought into memory several times. So what is the basic concept of a page replacement? Page replacement is basic to a demand paging. When the user process executes and page fault occur and there are no free frames in memory. So one choice for OS is to terminate that process, another is to swap out one process, and one is to find a free frame that is not currently being used, and that is known as a page replacement. So page replacement completes a separation between a logical memory and a physical memory, and large virtual memory can be provided on a smaller physical memory. What are the steps we have to follow while having a page replacement? Firstly, we have to find the location of the desired page on the disk. We have to find a free frame. If there is a free frame, so we will going to use it. If there is no free frame, then we will going to apply a page replacement algorithm to select a victim frame. Write the victim frame to the disk, change the page and frame table accordingly. Read the desired page into the newly freed frame and change the page and frame tables and restart the user process. With this diagram, we can understand the process of being page replacement, because if there is no free frame, we have to find one that is not currently being used and free it, and we can free a frame by writing its content to swap space. This space is basically a swap space. In swapping, we named it as a backing store, and whenever we will going to get a free frame, by writing its content to swap space, we change the page table and we modify the page fault service routine to include the page replacement. So this is the page table, this is a physical memory, this is a swap space. In page table, we will going to identify which frame is being available. If it is not available, then we will going to find the page which is not being presently being used. So accordingly, we will find that page and free the frame from the physical memory, place the content of that page into the swap space, that is into the backing store, and put that page which is recently being used, yeah, recently being required by the operating system for the execution of the process. This is basically a graph of page fault versus number of frames, and as I told, the string of memory reference is called the reference string. That we can generate a reference string artificially, or we can trace a given system and record the address of each reference. So firstly we can see at in the starting we have a high page fault, and as soon as the number of frames is being available to the system, to the user process, the page fault decreases. So in the starting, we get a highest page fault, and on the meantime, as soon as the frames are being available, the page fault decreases. What are the page fault replacement algorithms are? In the page fault rate, we want a lowest page fault rate. We have the algorithm by running it on particularly string of memory references and computing the number of page faults on that string. For a basic example, we have took a one reference string, which is basically this, and the first page replacement algorithm is a first in first out page replacement. It is the simplest page replacement algorithm, and it is basically a first in first out, a first in first out replacement algorithm. It associates with each page and the time when the page was brought into memory. When the page must be replaced, the oldest page is chosen. As with the help of that reference string, firstly, this page was not being available, so it is being a page fault and placed into a frame. Then 0 is being placed, then 1 is being placed. Now the turn is come for placing a page 2, but none of the frame is free. Again, a page fault rate occurs by applying a page first in first out page replacement algorithm. The first page which is being allocated to the frame is 7, so 7 is being replaced by 2. Now the next page is 0. The 0 is already being allocated. The page 0 is being already being allocated. Now next page comes to 3. Again, we have no free frames are being there. Then we have to be find a free frame, replace it out. That is the page. And how we were going to replace? Firstly, we were going to see which page is being placed with the first frame at present instant of time. So 7 is already being replaced. Then we can see 0 is being firstly it is being allocated, so 3 will be replaced by 0, and 0 will be swapped out into the swap space, and 3 will be swapped into the physical memory. Again, we can see a page 0 comes. Now in 231 we have to check which page is being allocated with the first free frame. Checking in this reverse direction, we can see in 3 it is being recently being allocated. 2 previously, and 1 was the first which is being replaced, so 1 is being replaced by the page 0. And by whole reference string is being read by the operating system, and accordingly the page fault will be occur, and the page will be the first page which is being allocated to the frame will be replaced, and the new page will be swapped in. So it was the in this we can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15. Page fault rate is 15, and the most unexpected result is an Bilady's anomaly. For some page replacement algorithm, the page fault rate may increase as the name of allocated frame increases. We will going to discuss this Bilady anomaly. As we can say for this particular reference string, when we have a 3 frames, that time we have a 9 page faults, and when we have increased the number of frames by 4, then the page fault is also being increased. So the Bilady anomaly says that when in some of the page replacement algorithm, when the page fault rate may increase as the number of allocated frames increase. So this concept is known as Bilady's anomaly, and this is basically the graph how in some for only it is basically for the sum of the reference string. As the number of frames increases, the number of page faults also increases. Next is the optimal page replacement. In optimal page replacement algorithm, it is basically the discovery of Bilady's anomaly, and it was a search for the optimal page replacement. In an optimal page replacement, it has a lowest page fault rate of all algorithm and will never suffer from the Bilady's anomaly. And the key note is that it simply implements the replace the page that will not be used for the longest period of time. मतलब कहाँ पे देखना है, फर्स्ट इन फर्स्ट आउट में रिवर्स डायरेक्शन में देखना था, ऑप्टिमल पेज रिप्लेसमेंट में फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्शन में देखना है, और क्या देखना है कि कौन सा ऐसा पेज है जो बहुत टाइम तक यूज में नहीं आने वाला है. ठीक है, वही सेम रेफरेंस स्ट्रिंग है. सबसे पहले 7 आया, फ्रेम अवेलेबल थे बट पेज फॉल्ट हुआ तो 7 को दे दिया, फिर 0, फिर 1. अब 2 आया, अब 2 के अकॉर्डिंग कौन से पेज को रिप्लेस किया जाए. ठीक है, तो अब देखिए 201 सॉरी 701, अब हमें 2 रिप्लेस करना है. देखिए 0 अभी अभी यूज होने वाला है, 1 थोड़ी देर बाद यूज होने वाला है, 7 बहुत टाइम तक यूज नहीं होने वाला है, मतलब 7 की लॉन्गेस्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम तक रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं पड़ने वाली है. तो जहां पे 7 है, 7 को हम स्वैप आउट कर देंगे और 2 को स्वैप इन कर देंगे. 7 को स्वैप आउट कहाँ करेंगे, उसकी स्वैप पेज पे, और 2 को बैक स्वैप स्पेस से फिजिकल मेमोरी में ले आएंगे. अब 0 आया तो 0 को ऑलरेडी एलोकेटेड फ्रेम है. अब 3 की बारी आई, अब 201 में किसको रिप्लेस करें, देखें आगे के डायरेक्शन में देखना है. तो 0 अभी यूज आने वाला है, 2 यूज आने वाला है, तो हम किसको रिप्लेस करेंगे, 1 को रिप्लेस करेंगे. ठीक है, तो optimal page replacement में we get to know it is difficult to implement because it requires a future knowledge of the reference string. Now the next algorithm is a least recently used algorithm. If the optimal algorithm is not feasible, perhaps an approximation of the optimal algorithm is possible. So the key distinction between the first in first out and in the optimal algorithm is that in the first in first out algorithm, we uses the time when the page is to be used, and if we use the recent past as an approximation of the newer feature, then we can replace the page that has no not has been used for the longest period of time. But this approach is the recently used algorithm. uh, that is, when the page must be replaced, we have to check it out that page has not been used for the longest period of time. Taking another reference string in 1234 12512, सी फर्स्ट व्हेन पेज वन आया होगा तो पेज फॉल्ट टू होगा, टू आया होगा तो फिर पेज फॉल्ट, थ्री आया तो फिर पेज फॉल्ट, तो वन टू थ्री, और यहाँ पे हम 4 फ्रेम्स दे सकते हैं तो 4 फ्रेम तक हो गया। अब आया वापस वन, वन इज ऑलरेडी, उसको हमने दे रखा है एक फ्रेम, टू को भी दे रखा। अब 5 के टाइम पे किसको रिप्लेस करना है? अब देखिए 1 2 3 4 में हमें ये देखना होगा कौन सा पेज ऐसा है जो रिसेंटली यूज नहीं किया गया है। 5 से पहले देखिए 2 रिसेंटली यूज किया गया तो 2 को हम रिप्लेस नहीं कर सकते हैं। फिर हम देखते हैं कि अभी रिसेंटली यूज 1 किया गया है तो इसको भी नहीं रिप्लेस कर सकते। फिर 4 किया गया है तो इसको भी नहीं रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं। तो लॉन्गेस्ट टाइम ऑफ पेज कौन सा ऐसा है जिसको फ्रेम दे रखा है बट रिसेंटली यूज नहीं किया गया, वो कौन सा है? 3 है। तो हम 5 को, हम 3 को तो स्वैप आउट कर देंगे और 3 का जो फ्रेम है वो फ्री करके किसको दे देंगे? 5 को दे देंगे। फिर हम देखते हैं कौन सा पेज आता है? 1, 1 को ऑलरेडी फ्रेम मिला हुआ है, 2 को भी मिला हुआ है। अब आई 3 की बारी। जब 3 के लिए अगर हम करते हैं तो 3 में हम किसको रिप्लेस करें? देखिए अब देखते हैं कौन कौन से फ्रेम्स हमने दे रखे हैं। अब हमें रिप्लेस करना है तो 2 अभी अभी यूज हुआ है, 1 भी अभी अभी यूज हुआ है, 5 भी अभी अभी यूज हुआ है। कहाँ से देखना है? रेफरेंस स्ट्रिंग से देखना है। और 4 को बहुत टाइम हो गया है यूज करे हुए, मतलब अभी उसका यूज नहीं हो रहा, तो हम 4 को स्वैप आउट कर देंगे और 3 को स्वैप इन कर देंगे। तो ये बेसिकली हमारी क्या हुई? रिसेंटली लीस्ट रिसेंटली यूज एल्गोरिथम। और जैसे कि हम ऑप्टिमल में हमने देखा था कि इन रिसेंटली यूज एल्गोरिथम we do not suffer from any abilities anomaly. Both belong to the class of page replacement algorithm which is called as a stack algorithm that can never exhibit abilities anomaly. In a stack algorithm we have an algorithm for which it can be shown that the set of pages in the memory from a frame is always a subset of a set of pages in the memory would be in n plus 1 frames. So in the recently used least recently used algorithm, the major problem we are being referenced with the counter, that is when a reference to a page is made, the content of the clock registers are to be copied to the time of use field in the page table entry for the page, and we replace the page with the smallest time value. Stack, whenever our page is referenced, it is in removed from the stack and put on the top, and in this way the most recently used page is always at the top of the stack. Again, it is an example that the same reference string we have been using for the least recently used page replacement, and in all the threes we will going to identify that in first in first out we have a more page faults raised as compared to optimal and in least recently. So comprising with all the threes algorithm, in first out we check it out in the backward direction. In optimal page replacement we check the future page, and in the LRU, that is in least recently used, we check which is the page which is not being used recently. Next is a second chance algorithm, that is a second chance least recently algorithm. The basic algorithm of this second chance replacement is a first in first out replacement algorithm. When the page has been selected, however, we import its reference bits. And if the value is 0, we proceed to replace this page. But if the reference bit is set to 1, we give the page a second chance and more 1 to select the next first in first out page. With this help of a figure, we can see when the page gets a second chance, its reference bit is cleared and its arrival time is reset to the current time. Thus, a page that is given a second chance will not be replaced until all the other pages have been replaced. So In a one way to implement the second chance algorithm sometimes refers to as the clock algorithm. That is, it is a circular queue. A pointer is a head on the clock which indicates which page is to be replaced next, and when the frame is needed, the pointer advances until it finds a page with a zero reference. So once a victim page is found, the page is replaced and the new page is inserted in the circular queue in that position, and second chance replacement degenerates the first in first out replacement if all the bits are set. Next is a counting algorithm. In a counting algorithm, we keep a counter of the number of references that have been made to each page. In LFU algorithm, we replaces a page with the smallest count, and in MFU algorithm, we basically based on the argument that the page with the smallest count was probably just brought in and has to be used. How the frames are being allocated. Each process needs a minimum number of pages, and the minimum number of frames per process is defined by the architecture. The maximum number is defined by the amount of physical memory. So we have a two major allocation scheme. First is fixed allocation, and second is priority allocation. In a fixed allocation, by taking an example, we can see we have a fixed number of frames, that is 100 frames, and 5 processes, and each process has to give, if we have a 5 process, then we have to give a fixed number of frames, so each will going to give with the process 20 frames. And in proportional allocation, we allocate according to the size of the process. In the priority allocation, we use a proportional allocation scheme, which is using a priorities rather than a size. If a process PI generates a page fault, set for a replacement one of its frames and select for replacement a frame for a process with lower priority. So in a proportional allocation, according to the requirement of the process, we allocate the number of frames to the process, and it depends, the higher priority processes are being allocated the frames first rather than a lower priority process. Next is a global versus local allocation. It is another important factor in the way frames are being allocated to the various processes is a page replacement. With multiple processes we are competing for a frames, we can classify the page replacement algorithm into two broad categories: a global replacement or a local replacement. In a global replacement, we allow the process to select a replacement frame from the set of all frames, even if that frame is currently allocated to some other process. That is, one process can take a frame from another. In a local replacement, it requires that each process selects from only one its own set of allocated frames. For example, if we consider an allocation scheme where we allow high priority process to select a frame from a low priority process for replacement, a process can select a replacement from among its own frames or the frames of any lower priority process. This approach allows a high priority process to increase its frame allocation at the expense of a low priority process. So, with a local replacement strategy, the number of frames allocated to a process does not change. With global replacement, a process may happen to select only frames allocated to other process, thus increasing the number of frames allocated to it. One problem with the global replacement algorithm is that a process cannot control its own page fault rate. The set of pages in memory for a process depends not only on the paging behavior of that process, but also on a paging behavior of other processes. Under local replacement, the set of pages in the memory for a process is affected by the paging behavior of only that process. So in a local replacement, we might have a hinder a process, however, but not making available it to other less used pages of memory. And in global replacement, generally results in greater system throughput. Next is thrashing. If a process does not have enough pages, the page fault rate is very high. This leads to a low CPU utilization. Operating system thinks that it needs to increase the degree of multiprogramming, and another process add to the system. So thrashing, a process is busy in swapping the pages in and out. If the number of frames allocated to a lower priority process falls below the minimum number required by the computer architecture, then look at any process that does not have enough frames. If the process does not have the number of frames it needs to support the pages in active use, it will quickly page fault, and at this point it must replace some page. However, since all its pages are in active use, it must replace a page that will be needed again right away. Consequently, it quickly falls again and again and replacing the page that it must bring back it immediately. The high paging activity is called thrashing, and a process is thrashing if it is spending more time in paging than executing. What is basically the cause of thrashing? Thrashing results in a severe performance problem. The operating system monitors the CPU utilization, and if a CPU utilization is too low, we will increase the degree of multiprogramming by new process to the system. And in a global page replacement algorithm is used, it replaces the page without the regard to the process to which they belong. By this by this graph, we can see that the CPU scheduler sees the decreasing CPU utilization and increases the degree multiprogramming as a result, and the new process tries to get started by taking from running process, causing more page faults and a longer queue for the paging device. As a result, the CPU utilization drops even further, and the CPU scheduler tries to increase the degree of multiprogramming even more. Thrashing has occurred and the system throughput plunges, and the page fault rate increases tremendously. For the higher CPU utilization, we increase the degree of multiprogramming, but due to more page faults, the performance reduces. The CPU performance reduces. What is a working set model? Basically, the working set model is based on the assumption of locality. This model uses a parameter delta to define the working set window. The idea is to examine the most recent delta pages references. The set of a pages in the most uh, delta page reference is the working set. If a page is in active use, it will be in the working set, and if it is no longer being used, it will drop from the working set delta time until after its last reference. Thus, the working set is an approximation of the program's locality. The accuracy of the working set depends on the selection of delta. If delta is too large, it will not encompass the entire locality. If delta is too large, it may overlap the several localities. And in the extreme, if delta is infinite, the working set is the set of pages touched during the program execution. The most important property of the working set is that it is the size of the delta. If we compute the working set size, WSSI, for each process in the system, we can then consider that D is equal to working summation of working set for each process, where D is the total demand for each frames. Each process is actively using the page in its working set. Thus, the process I needs working set for process WSSI frames. And if the total demand is greater than the total number of available frames, then thrashing will occur because some of the processes will not have enough frames. The difficulty with the working set model is keeping track of the working set. The working set window is a moving window, and and each uh, each memory reference, a new reference appears at one end and the oldest reference drops off the other end. A page in the working set is the reference anywhere in the working set window. Next is a page fault frequency. The working set model is successful and knowledge of the working set can be useful for pre-paging. But it seems a clumsy way to control thrashing. A strategy that uses the page fault frequency takes a more direct approach. The specific problem is how to prevent thrashing. The thrashing has higher page fault rate, thus we want to control the page fault rate. When it is too high, we know that the process needs more frame. And if the actual page fault rate exceeds the upper limit, we allocate the process another frame. And if the page fault rate falls below the lower limit, below the lower limit, we remove a frame from the process. Thus, we can directly measure and control the page fault rate to prevent the thrashing. Thank you.